biggest problems that the British had during the Second World War was invasion. They were terrified that German forces were going to land all over the south coast. Britain had been invaded many times before. Let's think about the Normans in 1066 when William the Conqueror defeated Harold Godwinson or Harold I at the Battle of Hastings. Let's also think about the Vikings. Vikings invaded England. But if the German army would have landed on these shores, there would have been big problems. And the British did many different things to try and stop it, and also try and stop an invasion if it did happen. And one of them are these things behind me. These concrete blocks, known as dragon's teeth. But what is the story? Today they might look awful, but they had a really important part and role to play in the Second World War. One way of stopping tanks and infantry vehicles during the Second World War was by using dragon's teeth, and these different shaped blocks were aimed to halt vehicles so they could not get over them. There were different sets of these found across Europe, and the Germans even used dragon teeth on the Siegfried Line and on the Atlantic Wall. These were roughly 90 centimetres and over tall, and they were very different to the ones found on the south coast of England. Often many of the fortifications placed on the coast of Britain also had different obstacles placed between, such as barbed wire to slow down infantry and soldiers, or other steel beams aimed to stop tanks. It was said of these fortifications in the UK that, behind minefields were the dragon's teeth. They rested on a concrete mat between 10 and 30 metres wide, sunk a metre or two into the ground, to prevent any attempt to tunnel underneath them and place explosive charges. On top of the mat were the teeth themselves, truncated pyramids of reinforced concrete about a metre high in the front row to 2 metres high in the back. They were staggered and spaced in such a manner that a tank could not drive through. Interspersed amongst the teeth were minefields, barbed wire and pillboxes that were virtually impregnable by the artillery and set in such a way to give the Germans crossing fire across the entire front. The only way to take those pillboxes was for infantry to get behind them and to attack the rear entry. But behind the first row of pillboxes and dragon's teeth there was a second, and often a third, and sometimes a fourth. Many dragon's teeth have been left as a reminder of the Second World War, and today across Europe they can still be seen. Some were even used on the East German side of the Berlin Wall, and in modern day conflicts there are dragon's teeth used and constructed to keep an enemy out. In February 2023, Poland made the decision to fortify its border with dragon's teeth. The bollards and dragon's teeth on Chesil Beach are huge concrete cubes, and these are incredibly heavy, and if the Germans had invaded there, they would have had to have blown these up somehow using explosives to pass and move forward, but then the area was also heavily guarded by machine gun nests waiting for them. The things I do to bring history to people, walking 3 miles down a shapely beach to just see some concrete. Thanks for watching, make sure to click subscribe and see you later.